My friend, one of the greatest truths you can ever hold on to is God never wastes your pain. That season of struggle, that chapter of heartbreak, the nights when tears were your only companion, none of it was in vain. You may have thought at times that God had forgotten you, that your prayers were bouncing back from the ceiling. But the truth is, He was working even then. He was molding you, refining you, and shaping you into the person He has called you to be. Pain has a way of breaking down our pride and drawing us closer to the heart of God. It strips away illusions and makes us depend fully on His strength. You see, the valley moments of life often become the training ground for the mountaintop victories that lie ahead. Think of the stories we read in Scripture. Joseph was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, thrown into prison for a crime he did not commit. For years, it looked like his life was nothing but wasted pain. But God was weaving purpose into every chapter. Every tear he cried, every injustice he endured, was preparing him for the day he would stand as second in command in Egypt, saving not only a nation, but the very family who had abandoned him. That is what God does. He takes what looks meaningless and makes it part of His masterpiece. You may not see the purpose right now. Maybe you've been asking why you had to walk through the divorce, why you had to endure the sickness, why you had to lose someone you loved so dearly. And those questions weigh heavy on the human heart. But I tell you, when you place your pain in the hands of God, He will not let it return empty. He is a redeemer. He restores broken years. He takes ashes and turns them into beauty. He can even take the darkest night of your life and make it the backdrop for His light to shine the brightest. So many times we look at pain as punishment, but often it is preparation. God isn't trying to destroy you. He is preparing you for a door He's about to open. If you never walked through the storm, you would never discover the strength of the anchor. If you never carried the weight, you would never know the depth of His sustaining grace. Some of you here have cried enough tears to fill an ocean, but those very tears are watering the seeds of joy that God is about to bring forth in your life. And here's what makes it so powerful. When God brings you into your new season, the very pain you endured becomes your testimony. You'll be able to say, I've been through the fire, but I didn't burn. I've been through the flood, but I didn't drown. God held me. God kept me. And now I can stand and declare His faithfulness. That's why your pain is never wasted. It's not just about you. It's about the people who will one day be encouraged because you made it through. Someone else's faith will be lifted because you endured. So hold on, even when it hurts. Trust Him, even when you don't understand. Believe that He is not wasting 1 second of your suffering. Every chapter of pain is moving you closer to the chapter of victory. The author of your story knows what He is doing, and He will use every page, even the ones soaked in tears, for His glory. Your pain is not wasted, because God is writing purpose into every line of your story. When God begins to close a chapter of pain in your life, one of the clearest signs is that He begins to open doors that no man can shut. You may have walked through seasons where every door seemed locked tight, where opportunities slipped through your hands, and where no matter how hard you pushed, nothing would budge. That's because God knew it wasn't time yet. He knew that if you stepped through those doors too early, the weight of what was on the other side might crush you instead of bless you. But when His timing arrives, nothing can stop the door from opening. You won't have to force it. You won't have to beg for it. And you won't have to compromise to get it. God Himself will turn the key, and the door will swing wide open. Think about how God works. When He shut the Red Sea in front of Pharaoh's army, He opened that very same sea to let His children cross safely. The difference was in who the door was for. What becomes a closed way to the enemy becomes an open highway for God's people. And so it is in your life. The very path that seemed impossible, the very place that once blocked you, can suddenly become the very passage to your breakthrough. That's the power of God's hand at work. And it won't just be any door. God doesn't open doors that lead you backward into bondage or sorrow. He opens the ones that align with His perfect plan for your future. Sometimes we knock on doors because they look appealing, but God, in His mercy, keeps them shut because He sees the pain on the other side. You may have cried over doors that wouldn't open, but one day you'll look back and thank Him for every no, because those no's were protecting you until the right yes came. His open doors always lead to growth, to healing, to joy, and to peace. Maybe you've been standing at a door for a long time, and your hands are tired from knocking. You've wondered if you should just give up. But let me remind you, when it's God's time, you won't have to kick it down. The door will open, and you will know it was His hand that did it. That's why He closes some doors first, to prepare you for the right one. The pain of a shut door is often the preparation for the joy of the right door. There will be evidence that the door is from Him. It will come with peace, not confusion. It will align with His word, not contradict it. It will bear fruit, not destruction. And most of all, it will remind you that you didn't make it happen in your own strength. God opened it for you, and what He opens, no one can close. That's how you'll know you've stepped into a new chapter of victory. Because the door you walk through won't just bless you, it will glorify Him. So don't be discouraged if doors have closed in your face. Don't be bitter if opportunities have passed you by. Those were not your doors. The one who holds the keys of heaven and earth knows exactly which door belongs to you. And when He opens it, you'll see why you had to wait, why you had to endure, and why every other door had to remain shut. When God opens the right door, no power on earth, no person in your life, and no scheme of the enemy can close it, because that door was made for you. One of the most beautiful truths we can hold onto when walking through seasons of pain is that God never allows suffering to be wasted. He is a God of purpose, and even in the moments when it feels like everything has been stripped from us, He is still weaving together a story that will bring about His glory and our good. Pain is not pleasant, and nobody asks for it. But in the hands of God, pain becomes the very soil where strength and faith are planted. The struggles you have faced, the tears you have cried, and the nights you've spent wondering if things will ever change. None of that is in vain when you place it in the hands of the Lord. So often, we look at pain as an ending. We say to ourselves, my life will never be the same again because of what I've lost. But God looks at it differently. He says, I can take that very thing and turn it into the beginning of something new. That betrayal that broke your heart, that sickness that drained your body, that financial loss that left you empty, He takes it all and repurposes it into a testimony that not only strengthens you, but also speaks to others about His faithfulness. Nothing is wasted in His plan. What the enemy meant for harm, God will transform into good, and what once felt like your greatest defeat can become the platform for your greatest victory. The truth is, without pain, we would never truly appreciate healing. Without valleys, we wouldn't recognize the beauty of the mountaintop. God uses those difficult seasons to refine us, to draw us closer to Him, and to strip away the things that we thought we needed, but were only holding us back. Pain has a way of humbling us and teaching us dependence on God. When all you have is Him, you realize that He is more than enough. That's why even in the darkest chapters, He is quietly working, shaping you for the day. He will lift you up and show you how every tear was watering the seeds of your future joy. Many people can testify that their greatest growth came in their hardest seasons. Maybe you didn't realize it while you were in the middle of it, but those moments of brokenness were teaching you to pray like never before, to lean on God's promises when everything else failed, and to find peace in His presence when the world gave you none. You see, your pain was preparing you for your purpose. The very thing you thought would destroy you has actually made you stronger, wiser, and more equipped to walk into the next season God has prepared for you. And not only does God use your pain to strengthen you, He also uses it to encourage others. One day, your story will be someone else's survival guide. The comfort you receive from the Lord in your darkest hour is the same comfort you will one day give to someone walking through their own storm. Your scars will testify that God heals. Your past struggles will shine a light of hope for those who feel like giving up. That's why nothing is wasted. Not even the moments you thought were the end of you. So if you are walking through pain right now, hold on to this truth: God is not finished with you. He is using it, shaping it, and transforming it into something that will reveal His power and His love in ways you never imagined. Don't despise the season of suffering, because one day you will see how God turned it into a season of strength. When God is closing your chapter of pain, He is not just erasing the hurt. He is repurposing it into a testimony that will carry you into victory. Sometimes in life, we hold so tightly to the things that once brought us comfort, only to find that they become the very things that keep us stuck in pain. We cling to old relationships, memories, mistakes, and regrets because they feel familiar. But God never intended for us to live trapped in yesterday. When He begins to close a chapter of pain, He doesn't want us to keep rereading the same lines over and over again. He wants us to turn the page so that we can step into what He has already written ahead for us. The hardest part of healing is often letting go, but it is also the most freeing part of the journey. There is something powerful about surrender. It means releasing your grip on the things you cannot control and trusting the One who has always been in control. Sometimes the reason we keep feeling the weight of yesterday is that we've never really placed it into God's hands. We've tried to carry it ourselves, replaying what went wrong, questioning why it happened, and asking ourselves what we could have done differently. But God says, let it go. I am doing something new. He cannot fill hands that are still holding on to the past. And so, if you truly want to experience the victory He is leading you toward, you must have the courage to release what has been and embrace what is to come. Think about it. Every closed door has a purpose. If God allowed something to end in your life, it is because He is preparing something greater. Too often, we see endings as punishment when really they are preparation. That person who walked away, that opportunity that didn't work out, that dream that seemed to crumble, none of it took God by surprise. He saw further down the road than you could. He knew that holding on to those things would keep you from stepping into the new blessings He has prepared. Letting go is not about losing. It's about making room for God to bring in something far better than what you thought you needed. There is freedom in deciding that your past does not define your future. There is peace in realizing that you don't have to have all the answers because you know the One who holds tomorrow. And there is joy in releasing yesterday's burdens so that you can walk into today with open hands and an open heart. This is what it means to let go and trust God. It is not always easy, but it is always worth it. The Bible reminds us that we cannot put new wine into old wineskins. In other words, God cannot pour out fresh blessings into a heart that refuses to release bitterness, resentment, or fear. The more we cling to what hurt us, the more we block the flow of what God wants to do in us. But when we release those weights, when we finally say, Lord, I trust you with this, then our lives become open vessels for His grace, His favor, and His joy to flow freely. Perhaps right now you are holding on to something that feels impossible to let go of. Maybe it's the sting of betrayal, the ache of loss, or the bitterness of disappointment. But friend, hear this. You don't have to carry it any longer. Lay it at the feet of Jesus. Surrender it completely. Trust that He is faithful to take your broken pieces and exchange them for a life filled with peace, hope, and strength. When God is closing your chapter of pain, it's not to leave you empty. It's to prepare you for the fullness of joy that awaits when you finally let go and allow Him to lead you forward. There is a season for everything in life. A time to mourn, a time to heal, and a time to celebrate the victories that God has prepared for us. Sometimes, when we are in the middle of pain, it feels as though the season of hardship will never end. We cry out for relief. wondering why our prayers seem delayed and why the doors we've been waiting for remain closed. But God's timing is perfect, and His plans are always greater than our understanding. Every moment of difficulty has been shaping you, refining your faith, and preparing your heart to fully receive the blessings He has in store. What feels like a delay is actually a preparation. Think about the times in your life when you faced disappointment, betrayal. Maybe you've been hurt by someone you trusted, or maybe opportunities slipped through your fingers, leaving you discouraged. It's easy to become bitter or lose hope, but God is always at work behind the scenes. He is orchestrating circumstances, guiding people, and opening doors in ways that you cannot yet see. The pain you have endured is not wasted. It is working to strengthen you, to build resilience, and to deepen your dependence on Him. God often uses the storms of life to shape our character, teaching us lessons we could not learn any other way. It is important to remember that victory does not always come immediately, and it does not always come on our timeline. But God is faithful, and He never forgets the cries of His children. When He begins to close a chapter of pain, it is a signal that your breakthrough is near. He is creating space for joy, peace, and fulfillment to enter your life. You may not see the full picture yet, but faith is the bridge between where you are and where God wants to take you. Trust that the experiences that once brought tears and heartache are now being used to propel you into the next season of triumph. In the process of moving toward your victory, patience and perseverance become essential. It is natural to feel weary after enduring trials, but God encourages you to hold on, to keep your heart soft, and to remain faithful even when the path seems unclear. Your persistence in seeking Him, praying, and walking in obedience is what positions you to fully receive the good things He has planned. Just as a farmer waits patiently for the harvest after sowing seeds, you must continue to trust and remain steadfast, knowing that the fruit of your labor and faithfulness is coming. Furthermore, rejoice in the small victories along the way. God gives us glimpses of His goodness to remind us that He is present and that He is working all things together for our good. These moments of grace are encouragements, signs that the larger victory is drawing near. They are not to be overlooked, for they build confidence, strengthen hope, and reaffirm that God's hand is at work in your life. Every answered prayer, every restored relationship, every moment of peace is a testament to His faithfulness and a preview of the greater blessings yet to come. Ultimately, the closing of one chapter is an invitation to embrace the new. God is preparing a season where your joy will overflow, where your victories will be evident, and where the pain of the past will pale in comparison to the fulfillment of His promises. Trust that He is working tirelessly on your behalf, aligning circumstances and orchestrating the perfect outcome. Do not give in to doubt or fear, for your victory is near, and God's timing is perfect. When God is closing your chapter of pain, hold on to hope, remain steadfast in faith, and watch expectantly, for the triumph He has prepared for you is coming. As we journey through life, there comes a moment when we realize that God is not just closing a chapter of pain, but He is also opening the door to a season of victory. This transition is not always immediate or obvious, but it is certain. God works in ways that are sometimes mysterious, orchestrating events, people, and circumstances to align perfectly for your breakthrough. The pain, the struggle, the moments of doubt, they are all part of His divine plan to prepare you for the fullness of what He has promised. Understanding this truth brings a sense of peace and confidence that your victory is closer than you think. It's important to recognize that victory does not always look like what we expect. Sometimes it comes in quiet, subtle ways: an answered prayer, a new opportunity, or a shift in your heart that allows you to move forward. Other times, it arrives suddenly in a way that takes your breath away and reminds you that God's timing is perfect. Either way, you can trust that He is in control. No matter how long the season of struggle has lasted, God's plan is unfolding, and the best is yet to come. Your perseverance, your faith, and your willingness to trust Him are preparing the way for this victory to manifest in your life. During times of hardship, it is easy to become focused on what is not happening or to dwell on past disappointments. But God calls us to lift our eyes beyond the present circumstances and to fix our gaze on Him. When we do this, we begin to see the signs of His faithfulness all around us. Perhaps a relationship is being restored, a door is being opened, or an old burden is being lifted. These are glimpses of the victory that is approaching, and they are evidence that God is actively working on your behalf. The pain you have endured is not the end of your story. It is the prelude to a testimony of triumph and transformation. Faith is central to recognizing and embracing the victory that God is bringing. It is not merely a passive hope, but an active trust in God's promises. As you walk in faith, you align yourself with His plan, and your heart becomes attuned to the ways He is leading you. Trust requires patience, because God's timing is often different from our own. But the delay is not a denial, it is a preparation. Every moment of waiting, every trial endured, and every step taken in obedience is equipping you to fully receive the blessing that God has promised. Moreover, celebrating small victories along the way strengthens your faith and encourages you to keep moving forward. Every answered prayer, every breakthrough, and every moment of peace is a reminder that God is with you. These experiences are signs that your victory is near, and that the door He is opening will lead to a season of joy, restoration, and fulfillment. Do not underestimate the power of these small signs. They are confirmations of God's hand at work in your life. Ultimately, God's promise of victory is not just about overcoming the past. It is about stepping into a new chapter filled with hope, purpose, and abundance. When we trust Him, remain faithful, and allow Him to guide our steps, we position ourselves to experience the fullness of His blessings. The struggles you have faced are not meaningless. They have shaped you, strengthened you, and prepared you for what is coming. So, embrace this truth with confidence. Your chapter of pain is ending, and your victory is near. God is preparing the way, and the joy, peace, and fulfillment He has promised are about to become your reality.